very frequently check in on what the current state of affairs is for general contractors and builders. A lot of times it's part of the economy, sometimes it's the costs and labor and materials. Right now, it's probably the most unusual environment for contractors and builders in the last 5 decades, 50, 60 years. Easily, this is the most unusual market. There are more potential opportunities for general contractors and builders. We're seeing this every day at our company, Secure Builders, than probably ever before, but they're not in the normal places. They're not in the usual places that you would see. We're going to talk today about why these opportunities exist, why there is such a demand for certain types of projects. More importantly, we're going to talk about how to make them financially successful. Not every job turns out to be profitable if it's not structured correctly. But first, before we do that, let's check in with our old friend, lumber prices. This is something that we've watched for years. When it spiked up a few years ago into the $1,400–1,500 range. What we're seeing right now, it's at 510. This is per 1,000 board feet. And if you go back, it's fluctuated in a range, high of about 640, lows in the upper fours, a pretty substantial range in about the 500, just over 500 range. In fact, you can go back to last September, about a year ago, was at 516, almost exactly the same as it is how much it is now. A lot of times in the mid fives, low fives. Now you're down under 500, 470, 480 for a bit, and then it spikes up to 650. What does that mean for builders? Well, just like we talked about when it spiked up to 1,500, we predicted it would settle in a trading range. We thought the trading range would be more like 620, 630. It actually came in lower than that, which is good for now. Take advantage of it. The other significant development is, for the most part, it's relatively stable. It's not jumping up and down. And why this is important for a builder is if you're bidding on a project, the materials costs, your lumber package, is most significant part of things outside of your control. Obviously, you have your labor, permits, insurance, surety bonds, other costs, but your materials cost is a significant part. And if you don't know where it's going to be in 2 or 3 months, because you're not going to be able to order your materials at the same time you bid your project or even start your permits. Certainly you can include in your contract language about variation in lumber prices, which a lot of times you do. But even if you have that, it's going to affect your outcome with the client. So the fact that lumber prices, are below what was projected, it's about a third of what it was a few years ago, 2-3 years ago. And the fact that it's trading in a narrower range, those are all good things for builders. Now, where are the opportunities? Well, let's look at why are there opportunities. On the larger developer front, you're going to see that larger home builders, the ones that are publicly traded, are doing very well. The ones that are public companies, Pulte, Lennar, their stocks are up 70%. They're killing it. Now, more than just being in the building industry, they're also in the property development and sales industry, right? But it's also related to why smaller regional or even, privately owned builders can do well. It's because the housing market is in short supply and builds can't meet housing demand. Why is that important? Here it says new Denver homes are popping up and selling quickly, but supply can't meet demand. Here's the problem. The housing market is stuck because, first of all, interest rates are high. And you might think, well, that's why nobody's buying houses. Well, obviously they are, because it says here selling quickly. Why is there a problem in the housing market? The problem is when the interest rates went up to now in the mid 7, 7.2, 7.4, we think they're going to go up into the mid 8s, probably 9.2, 9.3 by 2025. Next year, probably 8.6. What that does is it takes all the people who are currently homeowners. That's where the most inventory comes from, resale homes. They all have rates in the 3s. Even if they didn't buy a house in 2019, in 2020, when the rates were 3%, even if they bought it in 2012 or 14, they refinanced down to 3%, right? So they have a low rate on how much they owe. That means that if they sell their house, they're going to have to more than double, almost triple their interest rate on whatever house they purchase. So they're staying put. They're locked in place. Even if you have a lot of equity, you're still going to have to pay a high rate on what you buy because you're not going to buy the same price house. Look, if you have a house you paid $200,000 for, and now it's worth $550, you have $350 in equity. You're going to get dinged probably $50,000 on closing costs when you sell your house between realtor commission, buying and selling costs, mortgage points, what have you. So that's going to bring you down to $500. Well, you have another problem. You're going to have to pay capital gains tax. Once you get more than $250,000 in equity, you have to pay capital gains tax on the difference. That may cost you $5,000 or $10,000. So you're going to probably net out $500,000. You pay off your mortgage of $200,000. That leaves you $300,000 in equity. Well, if you own a house now that's $550,000, how much of a house are you going to buy as your replacement house? Maybe you want to buy a $750,000 house, right? So $750,000 minus, let's say you put all your equity into it. You don't keep any of your equity on the table. That's going to finance you $450,000. Your last loan was $200,000. So your principal amount doubled, more than doubled. Your interest rate goes from 3% to 7%. You know how much of a difference in payment that is? Your 3% mortgage on $200,000 is probably about $1,200 a month. Your 7% mortgage on $450,000 is probably about $4,000 a month. See where that's going? You're talking more than double, almost triple. So people are saying, I don't know if I want to do this. Maybe let's take some money and put it into my current house. There's your opportunity. That's what we're talking about. We'll get back to that. New York is full. Housing market's full. Atlantic is talking about how it's stuck. Home values will rise 6% over the next year. This pricing model is not going away. So what do you do about it as a builder, as a contractor? You're going to find that current homeowners, instead of losing $50,000 on closing costs and paying hundreds of thousands more in interest, are going to take that same money that they do the math on and put it into their current house, maybe put an addition on. It's not going to be so much about remodeling. It's going to be more additions, additional space. We've even seen some homeowners who will redo the lot lines on their property to buy some extra space from their neighbor. If you live in a neighborhood that has larger lots, lot line adjustment, build an addition that maybe doubles your square footage. Maybe you have a 2,000 square foot house. Maybe you add on 1,500 square feet at $200 or $250 a square foot. That might cost you $350, maybe $400, right? But for $400,000, now you have a 3,000 square foot house, all brand new. You still live in the neighborhood if you like it, and you're in good shape. As a builder, you can take advantage of this. What would you rather do? Build a spec home in today's market where the rates are going near 8% and hope somebody buys it, or you have a etched in stone contract with a current homeowner for an addition to their house that you get draws every time that you meet certain criteria on the build, instead of waiting to sell that house at the end. And current homeowners are seeing this. They know that home values will rise 6%. So that new addition is also going to rise 6%. The interest rate is not going down. All the pundits and experts are saying you should lock in a mortgage now because it's going to go up. You see the graphic. You don't have to read the article, right? It's going to go up again. The Federal Reserve has announced that they're going to go up again on mortgages. Homeowners are seeing this. So you want to get your name and your availability out there to potential clients that can put an addition on their house. Maybe what you do is if you work in a very small geographic area, one of the best ways to get visibility is direct mail. You might think that, well, I got to advertise on Google, online. That's great, but then you got to wait for somebody to search for you. Once they start searching, they're talking to other people too. They might see your ad, your website, your blog, your Facebook, but they're seeing other ones too. You can beat them to the punch. You might think it's expensive. This day and age, old school postal mail is cheaper than the same reach for doing digital advertising. You could mail 5,000 postcards to 5,000 homeowners in your neighborhood for a couple $1,000, $2,500. You might spend that in a week or 2 weeks on Google ads as a contractor. And all you're going to get then are people who are already out there getting bids. Would you rather talk to a client that's getting 5 bids from other builders? Even if they choose you, you're already been beaten down because of those other bids. I've seen some contractors that won't even talk to somebody who's getting more than 2 other bids. Look, you want valuable competition. You want people to know what they're getting, but you don't want it to be saturated to death, because all it takes is one competitor who does substandard work with substandard materials that ruins the bidding process for everybody else in the mix, because you're going to do things the right way. You have a better reputation and credibility, right? So if you get, the other thing about a postcard or a mailer is it's durable. The client gets it and they have it. As soon as somebody does a Google search, they see your name, they go to another website, you're gone, right? It's not durable. They're going to take that, maybe put it on your refrigerator, put it on their desk. It's a durable piece of paper. You can put a QR code on it so they can scan it. It saves a link on their phone. May sound expensive, but how many deals do you really need to do? Right? All you need is what, 2 or 3 a year, maybe large projects. You send out 5,000, that's less than 1% response, right? 1% would be 50. It's like 1/10 of 1% if you send out 5,000. So consider that. Either way, however you reach these people, be aware that there is a significant opportunity for additions. Forget about remodels. There's not a huge profit margin in remodels, and you know that, right? You're just basically upselling materials and a little bit of labor. Additions are much more substantial in terms of margin. It's also much less risk in terms of a spec house or building an entire home. That property is already zoned residential. It already has utilities. You don't have to do a lot of site work for septic or utility hookups. There's a lot of things about it that are much more simple, and people are wanting to do it. You might even go so far as to start talking about the advantages. Maybe you do a presentation or a seminar. Look, there's lots of people out there right now who are stuck and wanting to do something different with their house. People like to move. I mean, they like to have something new. Up until 2020, people moved just sometimes to get a new house. They just got kind of tired in their old house. That's still being pent up, but now they're trapped. They have golden handcuffs. They can't move anymore. You as a builder can unlock that. Maybe you have a sample addition, right? Maybe you show a floor plan or an architect's drawing of a simple, maybe 20 by 50 addition, maybe 2 stories. So now you're getting almost 2,000 feet, right? That hip roofs into their current roof line. And you show what could go into that. Maybe a large kitchen, maybe a large master bedroom, maybe an upstairs den or rec room or man cave. And that way their existing home, their existing house can be repurposed. The kitchen will become living space. Maybe their current master could be an office, right? If you show them that dream and give some estimate on price, there's enough people out there that want to move, want something different, that if you could show them that, look, for $450 or $460 or $320, whatever it is, and you can do the math on that, you could have this. Again, you're not going to sell everybody, but if 5,000 people knew that you could create a dream for them for a certain amount of money, hundreds of thousands, 450, whatever number you come up with, there's going to be out of 5,000, a handful of them that are going to want to know more, maybe 10 that want to know more, and maybe 3 or 4 of them actually do it. This is a huge opportunity for builders. I know you have an opinion about this. Let us know in the comments what you think. And as a medium to small builder, this might be a good opportunity. You can probably do it with your existing capital equipment, your existing staff, right? Your existing operational knowledge of permits and plans and whatnot. You can also probably do it with your existing licensing and surety bonds. So keep in mind that these opportunities are out there. Also, with regard to surety bonds, if you do have a need for upgraded bonding, check out Risk Coverage, our insurance division, for bonding options. We cover a bunch of states. Make sure that you let us know what state you're in to see if we can help you out. The most important thing is looking for opportunities. There's a gravy train right now for building contractor opportunities. You may already have enough business to do. You may not need more projects. But even if you don't need more, if you want more, if you could add on 2 or 3 more projects, let's say just 2. Let's say your plate seems like it's full. If you could somehow fit in 2 more, let's say $480,000 projects, and you have a net profit on those of about a 25% profit margin, you're talking $100,000 times 2. That adds $200,000 to your bottom line for the next fiscal year. And that money could be owner's retention. It could buy some new capital equipment. It could buy some marketing. It could maybe add on some new staff. It probably will take some extra work if you have a good project manager and a good general manager that can manage these projects. It makes it easier because you're going to have to shuffle around to put in 2 more projects into your current workflow. But this is a good way to get some more revenue on your bottom line and to maybe make you a bigger player in the marketplace. But additions to current homes is an upcoming opportunity that builders can take advantage of. You just got to get out in front of the person before they start shopping around for bids, because at that point you're just another commodity. You're just another Joe Blow builder that may or may not get the bid. And if you do, you're going to be competing with a bunch of others that all it takes is one to be a low-end builder with inferior products and workmanship, and your bid's going to seem way too high. Let us know what you think in the comments. I know you have an opinion about this, and we like to hear what builders are thinking so that we can adjust the topics of our videos to help you see more into the future and do some business development.